The next editing function we're going to talk about are tables. In order to insert a table into your content, put your cursor where you wish the table to be. You will then click on the Insert Edit Table icon in your content editing toolbar. Once the Insert Edit Table dialog box pops up, you will indicate how many columns and how many rows you wish this table to have. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and click Insert. Once you've inserted your table, you can then go ahead and fill out the different columns and rows with the pertinent information. Some things you may notice as you're filling out your table are the dotted lines around your columns and your rows. This will be taken care of later when we style the table. Another thing you may notice is that your columns will resize depending on the amount of information that you're typing into the cells. iCreate will resize the columns based on the amount of text that's entered into the cell. There are some things you need to know about tables and accessibility. The act of simply inserting a table, entering the data, and styling the table do not make it accessible. There are a couple of extra steps that need to be taken in order to make a table accessible. The reason this table is not accessible as is because of the way that a screen reader would read this table. An example of how this table would be read if it were encountered by a screen reader is day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Event, yes or no. Yes, no, no, yes, no. The reader would have to remember which yeses and which nos lined up with the days of the week. Therefore, it's reading this table by column. The first thing we're going to do to make this table accessible is add a table caption. To do this, ensure that your cursor is anywhere inside of your table. We're then going to click on the Insert Edit Table button in your content editing toolbar. Inside of this dialog box, you will see a checkbox for Table Caption. We are going to ensure that this is checked. Once you've checked Table Caption, you can click Update. You will now notice that a wider center-aligned row has been added to the top of your table. This is where we can enter in a table caption, which is essentially a title for your table. The reason this helps with accessibility is that the reader will now have the ability to hear the title of the table before they begin reading the table, at which point they can decide whether or not they even want to read it. They can then skip the table if the title is not something they wish to further pursue. The next thing we're going to do to make this table accessible is assign headings to the cells at the top of each column. In order to do this, you want to ensure that your cursor is clicked into the very first cell on the first column. Then, in your content editing toolbar, you will click on the Table Cell Properties button. Once we're inside of this dialog box, we're going to then set the cell type to be a header. And we're going to assign the scope for the entire column, therefore making the cell that we've clicked into the header for that entire column. Once you've set those two fields, you can click Update. We're now going to repeat that same step for the second column. So I'm going to ensure my cursor is clicked into the top cell of that column. In my content editing toolbar, I'm selecting the Table Cell Properties button. In the dialog box, I'm making my cell type a header, and I'm assigning the scope to the entire column. I can then click Update. You will now notice that the top cell in both of our columns is slightly bolded. Therefore, we've assigned a heading style to these cells. The way that this helps with accessibility is now when a reader comes across this table, it's going to read the table by cell heading and then by row. So for example, it would now say, day Monday, event yes. Day Tuesday, event no. Day Wednesday, event no. So on and so forth. Therefore making it a lot more easy for someone using a screen reader to understand. The last step in our table demonstration is to style your table. By styling your table, it will assign colors based on the theme of your site. In order to style your table, ensure that your cursor is clicked anywhere inside of your table. Then you're going to right-click with your mouse and select the Style Table option from the menu.